All right, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. We have Kurt and Jessica and Melissa here from the registrar's office to talk to us about the future of degree audit and degree planning at Wayne State. And I will turn it over to whoever's going to start.
That would be me. Okay, awesome. Good afternoon, everyone. I have minimized so I cannot see you guys right now, which is even better, so I won't be nervous or anything like that. So if you guys have any questions throughout the presentation, I just ask if you can please wait till the end or go ahead and throw those in the chat because we would like to, make sure we can answer as many questions as possible today within the next hour. But thank you all for joining us today. I'm super excited to be here. And I'm going to start off with just doing a quick intro of who is here from the Office of the Registrars and who will be presenting today. First, I'm going to go ahead and introduce Jessica Addy. She's our Senior Associate University Registrar, and she is my supervisor. Also, we have Kurt Krushcinska. He is the university registrar, if you didn't know, and also my boss and Jessica's boss. And then, if those who are here have never met me or have never introduced myself to you, I am Melissa Jimenez, and I'm the associate registrar for the academic and curricular services side of the house. So, with that, let's get rolling here. Today we're going to be talking about a little bit about the why of why we're moving in this direction, the advantages of Stellic, which is the new audit system that the university has purchased, and at the end we're going to present to you kind of like a high level rollout plan. So, we're going to start off by talking about the degree audit current state. So, as all of you may know, we use DegreeWorks as the official auditing system for students, and DegreeWorks was implemented back in the academic year of 2014-15. I was not part of Wayne State University crew back then, but I came on board in 2019. And since then, we did implement in 2022 a tool that DegreeWorks offers that's known as the Transfer Equivalency Self-Service, which is used for prospective students. And with our current auditing system, we have some challenges that have been identified and that we've discussed throughout the years. And some of those challenges is that it's very cumbersome. There is a lack of workflows for exceptions and waivers. Currently, there's no tie-in to like student scheduling or registration for a student, as well as it relies heavily on the proprietary language to code degree requirements. And sometimes, as we all know, we get departments that reach out to us and specifically would like us to code something. And unfortunately, without any modifications or customizations, we are very limited to that. Um, Also, the or should I say, degree works has always been very transactional. And an audit system, we would expect it to be strategic as well, because we would want to use it both transactional and strategically. And we have been limited with that as well, in the sense of student success and long-term planning. And then last but not least, some new features and product evolution has been limited as well. So throughout the years, the upgrades haven't really been, different with some stellar, new feature coming around to it. So what is our vision? Our vision is for us to move to the next step of student success. So we've been talking a lot about student success 2.0, and in particular, our vision is for this audit system to have success on measures for the degree completion and the time to degree. We also visualize, assisting advisors more efficiently targeting students and building relationships and having meaningful appointments by limiting planning and schedule building. We also want to provide students and advisors better functionality for planning a degree program and planning course schedules and seamlessly registering. because that's always our goal. And it's nice when we don't have registration problems. I think we can all agree on that. And then ultimately, as well, to provide chairs and deans with better predictive data about course demand and move towards more towards a strategic use of information. We've had many times requests for data and reporting tools that we just have been very limited with DegreeWorks and pulling the data out of Banner. So now I'm going to go into talking a little bit about Stellic. Stellic is one of the state-of-the-art degree planning and auditing systems out there. It was founded in 2016, and it was a student project by Carnegie Mellon University based on the philosophy that students have a hand in their planning progress and should have the information accessible to them to finish their degree efficiently. The tool is also for advisors and academic administrators, and it integrates with Banner. And it ties into not only the advising platforms, but it ties into our course scheduling, and it has a one-touch registration. Also, it has a feature of a workflow, and it's very student centric and it's geared towards their wants and their needs. So, for planning and to help build their schedule based around work or activities, all the way up to that one touch registration. So now we're going to take a look at some of the snapshots that we have built in. Unfortunately, we don't have I don't have an interactive one, so just bear with me. These are just simply snapshots. So this is what the student homepage looks like. And it consolidates, so Stellic consolidates the system and tabs that students and their advisors rely on. And so in this page, the student can view registration and holding and holds that are coming from Banner. They can also track their progress for degree completion. They can build their schedule. You can see how it says track, plan, and schedule, as well as they can view the academic calendar and upcoming events that are happening. They can also, one of the cool features that I will point out, so on the quick links, which is on the left-hand side, the black bar, Wayne State, so our office, we can use this and directly link the student to STARS for appointment scheduling. Stellic does also have a feature. They call it like widgets. So they have a widget that the students can schedule appointments. But we can simply turn that off and then link to STARS, since that's how you guys currently schedule your appointments. Next is a snapshot of the student profile. So a student's profile page can display information that's pulled from Banner and Canvas. This is useful to you because you can view this right before your meeting to identify any unique situation that the student may have. You can also see right under there is a progress bar, and it is color coded, and that does show the courses that have been completed. It shows what they have registered or planned for, as well as the gray will show what has not been planned or has not been articulated. So Stellic does collect as well a lot of the student interests, and that is very helpful because that allows you to suggest coursework for them that may be of interest to them. So electives and general ed courses. So that's where their interests become very useful. And then the students can see their schedule. So right on that last line, if they are registered, they can go ahead and view their schedule by clicking the course, and they can pull up the information from the catalog, as well as looking at the curriculum and other requirements that the course satisfies. Next is a snapshot of the degree audit. So the degree audit, similar to how the audit is in degree works, quickly shows the requirements that have been satisfied, requirements that are currently being taken, that are planned, or that need to be fulfilled. This audit is real time, both forward and backwards looking. So when Stellic receives new information on a course that a student has taken, for example, a transfer credit course, the audit automatically updates. And plans also can quickly be modified. So additionally, all of the students' programs similar to Degree Works will be viewable on the same profile page. So this eliminates the need of moving between majors, minors, and other credentials. Okay, next we're going to look at the planning and auditing. So students can be assigned plans or pathways is what Stellic also uses in their lingo, and it's broken down by each semester. So pathways take into account transfer and previous completed work, and then it adjusts the plans as well. Students can supplement the plan with additional coursework required for their degree, which is listed on the right. And it's nice because it has a drag and drop feature. So, very, easy to use. If a course, for example, they haven't fulfilled, has a prereq, that is planned. It gives warnings to students. So if they're trying to put in a course and there's a prereq course needed, it's going to go ahead and give them a warning. Same as if a student is trying to go ahead and put a class for fall, but it's only offered, in the winter and the summer, it's going to give them a warning. So based on previously identified interests as well, the system can recommend courses to students where titles and descriptions may line up. So that's where those interests are helpful for the student to put in because Stellic, as long as those titles have similarity, it will go ahead and make some suggestions of how they can fill in their schedule. Next is a snapshot of the scheduling and registration piece. So with a student's semester plan built out, they can seamlessly transition into building their schedule for the semester. Students can enter their work, their commute time, activities, all into the schedule calendar as you see. Once the schedule goes live, Stellic will create kind of like a sample schedule for them to look at and then work around their activities that the student has already inputted. So students can manipulate the schedule again by picking a new section, dragging and dropping, opening and seeing the time and any additional courses that they might want to squeeze in. And they have a nice snapshot of what their semester is going to look. It allows for live registration through integration with Banner from inside the platform, and the system will verify the student can register for the class and if there are seats available or give them the option to waitlist if a section has it. And then next, I talked about interests and how a student can work in different interests that they might have, but another thing that the system does is what Stellic refers to as milestones. So a milestone is a non-course related requirement. So for example, if the student needs to meet with the advisor, or if they need to attend a program's orientation session or apply for graduation, a particular semester, you can go ahead and enter those milestones, and then those milestones become part of the student's plan, and they can view of when, they have fulfilled it or what they have left on those milestones to complete. So I think this is a neat tool to have. I don't know. I would think if I was an advisor, this would be great, but that's just my opinion. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to Jessica because she's going to talk about the reporting features within Stellic.
Yeah, thank you, Melissa. As Melissa mentioned, one of our major limitations in DegreeWorks has been our ability to get information out of DegreeWorks. We know that we're sitting on this major source of data with all of these student audits, but it's just not a very transparent system for decision making. Stellic is a major upgrade in that area and comes with the ability to do a great deal more reporting on the information that we collect in that system. One of the built-in reports that they have there is course demand reporting. So as these student plans that Melissa mentioned, get filled out for semesters moving forward as they're robustly adopted by the university, we'll be able to use that data along with historical data to get a better accurate prediction of course needs on a term-by-term basis. So which courses have a waning interest, which courses are growing in interest, and in that way can hopefully create a more accurate picture of how many sections are actually needed for each course in any specific term. This is something that's routinely asked for from departments, and we don't have a good way to put that together right now. And we know that there are limitations all across the university that create sort of ad hoc ways to try and figure out how to get enough sections on the schedule. Using this information in Stellic, we will have reporting to help better create some data-driven decision-making about course demand. And Melissa, if you could click to the next slide, thank you. There are also some custom filtering and reports available in Stellic for you to use as advisors when you're working within the system. So you have the ability to create custom reports for yourself to sort through the students that are available to you. You can sort and find students based on banner data, audit data, planner data, all kinds of data points. Don't ask me specifically which ones. We're still learning this as we're learning the system and going through training, but that's something that we'll know more about as we move through integration. But you can see in the screenshot that's available right now, this is looking for all seniors who have less than 5 degree requirements remaining, but haven't planned or registered for anything in the future. So that's a very specific population that for student success reasons might be an easy grasp to push along the finish line. And you have the ability to create those kind of filtered searches within Stellic. You can then take those searches and save them, share them. You can have them auto run, create notifications. There's a lot of robust ability to get sorted information out of the system so that you can better connect with the students at points of need throughout their degree planning process. We think that it'll really be an upgrade in access to degree audit information. Stellic, as opposed to DegreeWorks, is a newer system, so they do have a lot of cool things that are happening, but that doesn't mean that they're not adept at working in the kind of environment that we have. We are not the first school to integrate into Stellic and to transition to using them for degree audit, planning, or registration. You can see there are several examples here of high research schools and of mid to large public schools. So they're working with institutions that have student bodies that are our size and even larger and are capable of handling that level of student information. So we think that it'll work really well for the population that we're dealing with in our Wayne State student body. So I'm going to hand it off to Kurt now so he can talk a little bit more about what the lift is going to be and the timeline is going to be in moving to the Stellic system. Kurt?
Thanks. So Jessica and Melissa get to do all the fun stuff, and now I get to rain on the parade. We're looking to do a pilot phase of around 20% of the undergraduate student body. We have a couple of feelers out in the schools and colleges to get some input on that. We have not yet made the decision, but I'd like to get a couple schools and colleges on board, maybe even a couple of individual minor programs for our pilot phase. That's the recommendation of Stellic. And with all of the work that we have to do, it makes a lot of sense for us to do a small initial launch. We For the timeline, we kicked off the project December 4th. We had a nice sized crowd from the folks who we're going to be counting on to help us implement the system, from CNIT, from student success, from advising, from the vendor, and it went pretty well. So the timeline that we're looking at is going to kick off really in January. With investigation and discovery, we have a lot of questionnaires that they're asking us to fill out. I have to say that compared to our launch from DegreeWorks, in 2014, the amount of work that they spend on the front end is really incredible, and I was kind of surprised. And the questions are really poignant and are going to cause us to rethink a lot of things that we do, at least in our own shop. So investigation and discovery is going to start in January. That's going to be a couple-month process while we're working with CNIT to integrate the data from Banner into Stellic. We hope to have all the data integrated by the end of March of next year. And at that point, we're going to be trained. So we have to basically be totally retrained on this system. The work that we've done in DegreeWorks cannot be transferred over into Stellic, so we're going to have to do everything from scratch. We will start building the degree programs for the pilots in April, and testing and review with the departments and sign off will take several months. We hope to have that finished by August 2026. During that point in time, we will be setting up training with advisors. That'll happen over the summer at some point in time. And we expect the pilot to go live in August 2026. After that, we've got a lot of work to build the rest of the undergrad population and graduate programs. So I think that's going to be a new challenge for us here, is that not all the grad programs are in DegreeWorks right now. So we have to fix that, because you might have heard of a four-letter word called CPOS, which basically aligns a student's academic requirements with their financial aid. So we have to make sure that any course that a student has that they're going to receive financial aid for is degree eligible. So that will include grad programs as well. After that, we're going to work on the registration launch, probably in 2027, after we get everything finished on the coding side and get the integration with financial aid working. So it's a big project. We have a lot of work to do. And as we figure out who's going to go when in terms of our launch, we'll let folks know as soon as possible. But really expect to hear some conversation about this starting next year. And we are really looking forward to working through this process with you all. And now we will open it up for your questions and or comments, and we will try our best to answer it.
Before we go too far into questions, I do want to point out I dropped a link in the chat for a feedback form, just asking for some things that you'd like to see Degree Audit System do better, and any comments you might have for us. So do please feel free to fill out that form.
There are a bunch of questions being thrown into the chat. I'll answer the easy one. Deanna's, what does CPOS stand for? Course and Program of Study. It's an acronym from the federal government when they created this regulation. And there will be lots to talk about when it comes to CPOS. So we will be talking to all of you as we go through that process. Jessica asked, do you happen to know if it can accommodate planning and such when students need to take the same course several times? It should cover that. We haven't tested with that particular use case, but that should not be a problem with it, because it's actually comparing it to the banner data, we can build that off of the course record to allow it to be taken multiple times. Kaylin asks, can advisors still lock plans so that students cannot make changes to their own plan? One of my colleagues can.
I honestly do not know. I'm assuming there is some kind of lock feature, but I definitely will take note of that question and look through the documentation that has been given. Jessica, do you by any chance recall? We haven't really dived into it yet, so that's why I'm like, I really can't answer the question at this time.
The only challenge with locking a plan that I can see is because the plan adjusts as students make decisions and register for their courses. Those courses will come out of the plan if a student registers off plan. So, but that's a good question, and we will definitely have that conversation with them when we start getting trained.
I can quick answer the next two, actually. The screenshot that you saw had primary advisor and then 5 other advisors. That's not based on Wayne State data. That was a sample screenshot. Our advisor assignments will not change for Stellix. So you will still have advisors matching the same way they are matching now, and that's what will be displayed in the system. And there are plan templates.
Every time somebody adds a question, I lose where I'm at.
All right. Will the schedule provide warnings if a student tries to schedule classes without accommodating for commute time between the School of Business and other buildings on main campus or to a satellite location? No, because it doesn't know where those buildings are. It's not that smart. So it doesn't have mapping attachments.
But a student can plan that.
What's that?
But a student can plan that. They can put that kind of commute time onto their schedule. So if they have to commute between Illich and main campus, they can plan for that.
Correct. When they're doing searches for registration, they can put blocks in time availability. So if they know they need to take morning classes at main campus and evening classes at Illich, for example, they can put a block on time in between those spaces when they're doing a search for available courses. But they do still have to look for that themselves.
Of course, it occurs to me that they won't know about commute time until they actually plan their semester. So here we are.
Will program requirements be updated regularly so we can ensure that students who graduate are in compliance with bulletin in effect? Yes. We update program requirements as they go through the program change process, and that will continue to be true with Stellic as well.
There will be a larger conversation about bulletins in effect so that we can actually enforce bulletins in effect. I'm not sure how that's going to fall out in this project, but it is something that we have been discussing. We have student catalogs right now in degree works that go back and back and back. But we can't build 20 years of catalogs in the time frame that we have. So we're trying to limit the amount of bulletins that we build. So that's going to necessitate looking at this information anyway. Margaret, can you explain the role advisors have had in the decision-making process? We actually talked with a group of advisors. I believe, Kate, can you correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't it like the Advisor Leadership Council?
The AAC, that happened many, many months ago.
Yeah, we met with them.
Yep.
And we received feedback from them. It was a mix of advisors, Margaret. It was folks who use DegreeWorks. It was some folks who don't necessarily directly deal with students. but the but this has been a conversation that we've been having around campus for a couple of years, and we had that conversation with the advisor group, gosh, last year.
Yeah, I recall the conversation, but like, and we provided feedback and then what the next steps were and whether like we agreed on it, but we never heard anything back. So it was kind of like a year and a half ago. So we were
It
just kind
was.
of wondering what, like it was
Well,
just kind of all of a sudden that it was moving forward and we're like, oh, okay, we didn't have any wraparound. So that's what my concern was if there's like was another group that was talked to because yeah, we didn't
Well,
really have like the close the loop, I guess, discussion.
that's because this decision has been a long time in coming, and honestly, the decision to buy it was not made until August or September. It took a while from the time that we talked to people. We had to have conversations with lots of constituencies, including enrollment management. We had a conversation with the Information Systems Steering Committee, which includes faculty and administrators on it. And then there was the contract negotiation. So it was a really, really long process. I
I have
think,
a quick
oh,
question.
go ahead,
It's
Emily.
okay to ask it out loud as opposed to typing it. So right
Go for it.
now, DegreeWorks, if you click on the hyperlinks for every class, once the schedule has rolled, it shows like, for example, right now it shows spring summer classes. You know what I'm talking about? Like if you click on that hyperlink, will Stellic stop doing that? Because students count on, like, look at that and go, oh, this class is going to be offered. And it's not necessarily right because the schedule has rolled behind the scenes and Ys, but it's not published yet for students to see schedule of class. Does my question make sense?
Yes,
Yes.
and
Oh, go ahead, Kurt. I'm not
no, I
gonna
just
cut
going to
you
say,
off.
Kurt, you're
Oh, you're
muted.
muted,
Muted
Kurt.
yourself.
sorry, we haven't gotten that far into the weeds, so I don't know the answer to that question at this point in time.
Okay. It would be excellent if it did because students look at that as like solid information and it's not.
It would, yeah, it would be lovely if it did, because yes, that is really annoying.
Mhm.
Sean, you have your hand up.
Yeah, I just wanted to add to that. It sounded like we would be, or students would be able to get into registration straight through this, if I understand correctly. So, to Emily's question, I think this problem may end up differently because if they get into registration, they're going to see what's actually available. The problem is for how early it looks into WISE in the planning system. Is you all know, as our departments start putting up their courses, it's not always like a finalized pattern yet. And so I think the question really probably is, when does Stellic actually port information over from the portal or the registration portal or start looking at that, however that process is going to be. But if it's interacting directly with the registration system, I don't think students will be having as much inaccurate information through those links.
The registration piece, I guess the easy answer to your question is the registration piece won't change the timing availability of registration for students. So the way that our viewing and registration schedule works now won't change for students. There's sort of the audit, the plan, and the registration piece in Stellic. So you use the audit with requirements, map them out on a different terms with the plan, and then the registration piece will start with that term that you have planned. And then once we have the schedule availability, can then say like yes or no, that course is there, and you can adjust the plans appropriately. So it isn't at the point until we typically have those things available that they can do the registration. Now, if some of that because we don't know some of the details about display in those pieces, we can't confidently say yes or no to the previous question. But I think you are correct, Sean, in that some of that will be alleviated because there is then more specific registration information available as well. That's kind of as specific as we can get at this point, I think.
Any other questions for Kurt or Melissa or oh, there's something in the chat.
Margaret, if you want to have an offline about your comment that you just turned into the chat, I'd be glad to do that with you.
Other questions?
I have my hand raised, but I'm also talking.
Oh, sorry, Rachel.
No, I meant I had my hand raised in the video, not actually my hand raised, so you didn't miss anything. I know you're looking at who's gonna kind of be part of the groups and colleges that will play, and I always say like in the sandbox. And I would just encourage, and Kurt, I know I've mentioned honors willingness, but making sure that when you're looking at colleges to think about also supplemental advisors who will be using this, who might not be part of specific colleges, because I feel like that's sometimes I don't want to say overlooked, but when we're trying to gain populations, it tends to be like these are major and minor advisors who are using the systems, and supplemental advisors like honors or Warrior 360 or pre-med. I don't want to say we get left out, but like I feel like sometimes that's where the complications in the systems tend to run, and we're always, so just thinking holistically about that group.
That's a good point, and I've written that down. In response to you, including honors, I think that you'll probably end up being included anyway because you exist in most every college with the honors track majors that we would want to make sure are right. Plus, you have the university honors requirements that we're going to need to make sure are connected correctly. So I think that you may just find yourself there by default. Kimberly asked, how are you going to communicate this change to students who are familiar with DegreeWorks? There will be a communication plan that comes out. We're going to be doing like a website for advisors and academic staff who use the system, and we will definitely be communicating this information out to students. My sense is that our students are pretty tech savvy for the most part, so I think that they'll figure it out pretty quickly. But yes, there definitely will have to be some communication and possibly even some training to some students. That will be in the plan.
Other questions? Well, thank you so much, Kurt, Melissa, Jessica, for excuse me, sharing this very important information with the advising community. This is being recorded, so if you want to go back and look at some of those screenshots or some of the slides and the PowerPoint, you can absolutely do that. I will try and get it out later today or first thing tomorrow morning. And then Jessica, I opened up that form, so I'll include that with the email that I send out so that as people are thinking about things, if you have information you want to share with the group, you can fill out that form that Jessica dropped in the chat. Oh, thank you. Everybody have a great day.
Thank you, everybody. Have a good
Thank you,
rest of the week.
Thank you.